Hey everybody. Not out picking today. My week is different. Last week I didn't go picking on Tuesday. I went on a Thursday. This week I'm not going today. Um, Maybe I'll go Thursday, Friday. We'll see how the week goes. But I do have a lot of stuff to list, so it's really no big deal. Um, but I thought maybe instead of showing you what sold video, which that's cool in and of itself, I suppose, I figured I'd show you what I'm getting ready to list today. Um, so I just got done taking pictures of everything that I'm going to list, at least in part today. I may do some more, but this is kind of a heavy shoe day. I usually buy shoes and I get them collect up and I try to list them at once so I can make the most of my time. So let me get you showing you what shoes I bought. I'll tell you what I paid for them if I can remember, um, and then what I think I can get out of them, which will not be very accurate because I'm just shooting from the hip, but it'll be fairly close. First pair of shoes I'm on the list is these women's loafers. They're Ariat is a brand. That's a great brand for men's boots. Um, Partly why I bought these is they're a good shoe for one, but they're also a big shoe. Um, Women's 11, size 11, doesn't mean they don't exist. I just don't find that many of them. So, and there's not a ton of them for sale. So, size 11, women's shoes. I do not remember what I paid for these. $7.99 maybe, or $8.99 possibly. They'll sell for probably around 50. Second pair of shoes I've got in the queue is men's dress shoes. The brand is To Boot New York. Decent brand. Not amazing. I think they were more popular in the past, but still a good brand. These again were, I think, $8.99 in that ballpark somewhere. They might even have been $9.99. But again, nice shoes. They'll probably be around 50. Now, all these shoes, if they weren't already clean, I cleaned them, and that might could have been, various amounts of dirty. In fact, a couple pairs of shoes I actually put in the washing machine, which isn't necessarily common, but I don't like to sell dirty shoes, so I do my best to make them look as best I can. And as you can see, they all look pretty nice. Um, these are brown wingtips. They are also men's dress shoes. The brand is Florsheim. Old Florsheims, V-cleat, nails in the heels. They can be shell cordovan, uh, long wingtip. This is a kind of a half wingtip. The wingtip goes to right here. Long wingtips, the wingtips go clear back. Um, the older ones, if you get shell cordovan ones, they can be in the hundreds. Uh, just because it's Florsheim doesn't really mean it's worth a pile of money. The reason I bought these is I remember where I bought them. They were $2. They're, as you can see, very presentable. Doesn't mean they're awesome shoes, and they're not going to sell for a ton of money, but I paid $2. So these, I'll probably shoot for $39.99. They'll probably sell for $34, somewhere in there. So for $2, that's why I did it. Not necessarily because they're Florsheim. Although some Florsheim shoes are really great. Another pair of shoes, Timberland. Timberland is a weird brand. Men's boots can sell really great. Women's shoes, they sell but not great. Um, but men's Timberland shoes tend to do well. And these are, I don't know what you'd even call them, a casual loafer, I suppose. Rubber soled. Here's a price on the bottom. Uh, well, it's 9W, which means I paid $9.99 for them. It might have been on sale, but I cannot remember that. So let's assume I paid $10 for them. Very, very nice condition. A good size, 12 medium. 44.95, probably $50 somewhere in there for those. I'm gonna save this pair to the end because it was probably the most unique shoe find I found. Here's a couple that I threw into the washing machine. Very nice. These are, this one is Salsini Guide 17s. I don't remember what I paid for these. I think at least $10. But as you can see, very nice. They are used. They're not brand new. But these shoes are very expensive new. So I will sell them to somebody who wants a pair of used ones. And I scratch my head too as to why people buy a bunch of used shoes, but they do. So they're very expensive new, so they're probably just trying to save some money, just like everybody else. 50-ish, right in there. So 10 to 50. Here's another pair of shoes. You're probably familiar with these, On Cloud. I used to like these, but I'm kind of a bigger guy, and I will say On Cloud shoes are not great for bigger people. If you're a little light in your loafers, maybe they're good for you, but I like to have some beef in my shoe. But anyhow, I think I paid, again, around $9.99. These might have been $12.99. I just can't remember. And they're used. And again, $44.99, $50. Really not the greatest buy, but they should sell pretty fast. That's one thing on Cloud. They sell pretty fast. So it's if I don't make as much money, that's okay, because I should make it a little quicker. Here's another pair. Same store, same place, same shoe. In fact, I believe exact same shoe. And these are green and white instead of blue or purple and blue, whatever that is. Same, used, decent shape, same thing. They'll sell for that same ballpark. Here's a cool find. Not necessarily because it's a great shoe. If you know shoes, that's very familiar. This is a Cole Haan Grandiose. This is a 2.0. You don't buy these used because they're not a shoe that lasts. They're a comfort shoe. They're a casual comfort shoe. Casual dress shoe, I should say, or a comfort dress shoe. And you wouldn't buy these if they're used unless they were really nice, because they don't have a great used resale value. But these are, as you can see, brand new. And I got these half off, so that means they sat in the thrift store for probably a week or two or three, who knows. And I got these for half off. I think it was half off, $14.99, so $7.50. And since these are new, I'll get between $50 and $60 probably for them. Maybe a hair more, actually, because they are new. And people do like them because they are comfortable. They just don't have a great used resale value. But being new like this, they should be pretty good. Here's another pair of shoes that I bought, not because they are awesome. They're a good shoe, but because of what I paid for them. The spread, I should say. I have a trouble. Inov, I'm probably not saying that right. INOV. These are the Fast Lift 315s. I think these are like a woman's weightlifting shoe, possibly. I may be wrong about that, but I feel like that's kind of, I feel like I'm right. Anyhow, new, they're probably expensive, but on the used market, I'm going to be able to get probably 30, $29.99. I might price them at $34.99. They go on sale. $29.99 is what I'll get, and they were $4.99. In fact, they might have been $3.99. I think they might have been $3.99, and that's why I bought them. Not because I was going to make a ton of money, but because they really weren't too expensive. So you can afford to sell a shoe for a little less whenever you don't hardly pay anything for it. Here's a cool find. Again, another shoe that is not awesome on a used market, although they will sell. But they're good on the new market, and that's Dr. Comfort. These are a diabetic shoe. I think it's kind of the genre, and or just comfort. Wingtip, men's, pretty good size, 11W. And again, used. I might have bought them if they were used and very nice, but I wouldn't have wanted to pay hardly any money for them. And I would have only been able to sell for $30, $35. But these are new. Very nice condition, new. And I will be able to sell these. I seen pretty high, like 80s and 90s. I'm not sure I'll get that. Let's be safe and saying around $74.99, something like that. I did pay $14.99 for these because they were new. And so, decent spread on that. Here's another pair of shoes I didn't pay hardly anything for. I think they were $3.99 or $2.99. Keen, women's Keen shoes. Small size. Well, 7. I guess not that small. But, well, there's the $4.99. That's what I paid. Not sure what I just said, but $4.99 is what I paid. Volunteers of America Thrift Store. I'm glad I seen that. We got that off there. But $4.99, $34.99 is probably what I'll list these at. So not too bad there. Here's a pair of shoes I got at the thrift store, and I think I got these for a really reasonable price. Like, I think I might have paid $2 for these, if I'm remembering correctly, which seems crazy, but these are, I believe these are Wolverine. Yeah, they're a vintage style Wolverine. Has this kind of a cool sole on it. Now, when I bought these, in my opinion, they look pretty nice. When I bought these did not look great. They looked okay. I could tell the leather was okay, but they were in decent shape. So I cleaned them up, put a little mink oil on them, polished the toes a little bit, and $2. I should be able to get 60, 65 for these, so that was a good find. And these are kind of a cool pair of shoes, not because of what they are, but because of the brand. I'm not positive I've ever bought this brand. I knew about it, I think. But these are tassel loafers, men's black suede, but the brand is Crockett & Jones. And they were sold Barney's, New York, which is a pretty expensive department store. These were, boy, I wish I remember exact price on these. They might have been $12.99, $9.99, $12.99, somewhere in there. But some of these shoes, not necessarily this exact model, but this brand can be worth very good money, in the hundreds. This pair, I think it's safe to say it's going to be $89.99. I might shoot for $99.99 and then take anything above $74.99, something like that. But pretty nice. And next to the last pair of shoes are these Vask hiking boots. Very good boot, not a cheap boot. These I believe are a women's size and have a nice sole. They're used. They're not perfect, but they're very nice. And somebody who hikes regularly and has had this boot, likes this boot, will buy this boot. And I'll probably get $44.99, maybe even $49.99. And I believe these were $8.99. I remember that now. These were $8.99. Good price on those. So this is the interesting pair of shoes I found. And it's interesting, you know, my son's into watches and my son's into, he has flat feet, extremely flat feet. And he buys and wears barefoot shoes. So I'm on the eye out for barefoot shoes because if I can buy him those, we can save some money. So when I saw these, I recognized, that looks like a barefoot shoe. If you can see it, it's that pattern. These are actual leather. It's thick. That's a thick thing of leather. Usually there's an inner sole, midsole, outsole. This is the sole. Pretty cool. And they're women's, of course. But the brand is NEFESS. They're handmade. And I looked these up, and I can't remember exactly what I paid for them. I think $9.99. But they're leather, upper, leather, inner. They're size 7. But they're people that I would say you would call crunchy people. Maybe some hippie people would wear these. Maybe boho would be a title you'd use. Grunge maybe be a title word you'd use. But these, not exactly sure, but I think I'm going to be able to price these around $150. I might be overshooting a little bit, but definitely I would say over $100, and maybe more than $150. But I think around $150, and I believe I don't think I paid more than $9.99 for these. So that was kind of cool. That might have been the actual best value shoe I found, money to sale price that day. So, but kind of cool barefoot shoe. And I will show you a couple things that are not shoe related. I bought this hat. Hats are long tail. Clark Bradley's Horsemanship School. And I'm not going to go into a bunch of detail what hats sell and what they don't, but this will sell. It may take a while, but that's okay. I think it was $1.50 or whatever the hats were at that thrift store, not that much money, and I'll probably shoot for $19.99 or something. Easy sale, easy to shelf, easy to pack, quick. So you know that all goes into what you buy and what you sell. This is kind of cool. Bobblehead, a Chihuahua bobblehead by Nostalgic. This probably back in when it was sold in 2000, I guess, 25 years ago. This was probably almost a Dollar Tree item, but they don't make them anymore. People remember them. Who knows? It might have been on a movie, on a dashboard of a car, on a movie. You never know. But now, years later, this is worth about $25 to $30, and I think it was 99 cents. So I think I found that in the checkout aisle. Just caught my eye, and hey, why pass up 20 bucks? And this I paid $3.99 for, I believe. This is a Extreme Spirit heat sink fan. About 25 to 30 bucks. Some of them were very expensive, but I don't anticipate I'm going to make tons of money. But $4 into about 30. So hey, that's what's in my queue today. It's not a picking video, I know, but and it's not a what sells video, but this is what I'm listing. And so one day, hopefully it makes to a what sells video. Take it easy. And if you get to the end of the video, which is kind of a long one, have a good day. And take it easy.